Good morning, this is Heather. I'm here live with my friend Leanne, and I'm going to ask her a few questions, but I'll wait for you guys to jump on. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good morning.
For
Yes,
me.
of course.
Good morning.
Our children are outside playing. It's a very nice day.
Thank goodness.
See, and then the comments will be down here, so we'll try to answer your questions as they come in after I ask her some things. Well, I guess you could share with us how you got started. How long has it been, and how did you get into photography? Because it's not your background.
Right. So hello, good morning. I actually have an engineering degree, so I went to school for engineering, and I was working at a company here in Pittsburgh. And my husband and I got married in 2008, and right after we were married, our photographer was since then out of business. It's okay. But a friend of ours took better pictures than our photographer did. I'm just naturally competitive, like somebody I know here. And I thought to myself, if they can take good pictures, I could probably do that.
Right.
I can probably figure that out. So I bought a camera. I started taking pictures of my friends and calling them engagement sessions. And then I was hired to shoot a friend's wedding maybe 5 or 6 months after I got my camera. So then I was forced to learn my camera.
But wait, when you say hired, this person approached you and said, hey, we want you to shoot our wedding and we want to pay you?
Yeah.
So your first wedding you got paid for?
Yes.
I did not. I shot a couple of free weddings before. That's pretty impressive.
I think that I tagged along with some other photographers for one wedding before that.
Yeah.
And then I shot my friend's wedding. Yeah. So it was literally just second shooting for one wedding, and then I shot theirs. And I actually bought a D700 3 days before that wedding because I was panicking.
Right.
I was like, well, I probably need a really good camera, so let me go spend $2,500. I don't know. And I was in panic mode.
But you didn't even realize that you were going to start a business though, right? Or that wasn't...
I mean, it was in my mind, but it was the very early stages of things, and I was just really trying to get to learn my camera more than anything. So at that point, it wasn't so much business, but just I have to figure out how to work this thing so that I can take pictures at their wedding. So
you're pretty fearless.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
They are very nice friends of ours. So I actually I took photos at their wedding, and then 3 days after their wedding, her father passed away unexpectedly. So that was kind of a transition moment for me. Like, wow, what I do is actually this is really important. So I need to make sure that I'm doing my very best for everybody. So after that, I went and I was second shooting like crazy that first year. I put up an ad on Craigslist. And I booked 2 weddings from Craigslist ads for that year. So my first season, I shot 3 weddings. And then my next year, I did 28. And then I quit my job.
We actually have very similar stories. I have an engineering degree. My first year, I shot 3 and then 30.
We're like the same person.
We're basically the same person. That's crazy and fearless. Like, we just made it happen. How much were you charging for these first couple of weddings?
My very first wedding, I charged $1,050.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I charged $500. I did a couple for free, and then second shot as much as I could. Yeah. Now, something else you said is that you went out and bought the D700, so you didn't mess around with buying a starter camera, or...
I had a D80 at the time. And I bought the D700 because I knew that it was really great in low light. So I was like, well, I don't know how to use a flash, so I'll just buy a camera that has really great ISO capabilities.
And you did.
Yeah, along with the ISO conversation. Apparently I was full force on the high ISO.
Yeah, you were ahead of your time.
That's right, yeah.
And that was 2008 all that happened?
Yes. No, I'm sorry, 2009.
9. So 8 is sort of when you started. So that's not even that long ago when you think about it.
7 years.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. Okay. How did you get those first clients? Okay, you got those first clients. We talked about how you're getting your first clients. So it's friends who say, hey, I'm getting married. At least for me, it was someone said to me, hey, I'm getting married and I can't afford a real photographer. Could you photograph our wedding? Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not real, but I can try it. Okay, once you get those first few, how did that go from 3 to 28?
So the first couple were friends and then Craigslist. And after that, I started blogging a ton. I blogged about everything and anything. I blogged all of my test photos that I took. I did a daily selfie thing, and they're all showing up in my time hop, and they're awful, but I needed content.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything else. And I think at one point I blogged about Brad eating a cheese stick. Like, it was really, I was struggling for content at the time, but I started blogging and just getting my name out there, and I was also working with a couple of other photographers, and then one of those photographers gave me a lead for a bride who didn't have the budget for them. I shot her wedding, and from her wedding, I have had lots of referrals. Her mom is awesome. She sent me lots of referrals, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And I'm going to be seeing her again at a wedding that I have this June. So I'm still working with her and all of her friends.
Isn't that incredible? All you need to do is build that foundation of a few people, and then it leads to so many more. So the message there is all you need is a couple of weddings. You just need a couple of, or any type of genre that you're in, you just need a couple of clients, because if you do a good job, and by the way, I don't know about you, but my photos weren't that great when I was starting. But I think they kept hiring me, and because maybe because I was cheap, but because hopefully I was providing an experience or adding value.
Yeah.
So if you get a couple of clients, that should lead to many, many more. But what if it doesn't? If it doesn't, then there's a problem, right?
Yeah, and I think if it doesn't, then there's a disconnect with your pricing or your target market, or maybe a disconnect with your personality and what your business is versus who you're actually working with. Because I feel like once you find that point where it starts to jive, then it really just goes crazy, picking up momentum.
So it seems to me like you landed on that really quickly.
Look, Mandy says she booked her first from Craigslist and then booked 22.
Right. Whoa, sorry, that was me. And Craigslist does not cost any money. So it's not like you were shelling out money for advertising on the Knot or Wedding Wire.
Right.
You were trying to do it for free, right? You were
And Craigslist is really, I mean, I don't know, is Craigslist still something?
Yeah, it's a thing.
There might be another platform for that nowadays, but it's just about finding that initial starting point. It doesn't have to be someone that you have to start at $3,000 or you have to start with your ideal client. It doesn't have to be your ideal client, but you still have to do a good job for that person and then use that to go forward.
Get a client, anything, do something. Do you consider yourself where you're at right now to be successful? And if so, I know you are successful, but what does that look like to you? What is success to you? How do you define it?
So success for me is defined by a good balance in my life. Success is making the income that I want to make from my business, that my husband and I need to live the life that we want, but it's also being able to do the things that I want to do. And I have a young daughter and I want to spend time with her, and just having that nice balance of everything. So often, not so often, but every now and then I get into this, and I feel like we all do it, this mindset of, oh, well, am I charging enough? Is my pricing right? Blah, blah, blah. And I always come back to, well, my pricing is right because my pricing is right for me. Like, I'm charging what I want to make so that I can live the lifestyle that I want to make. So I think for me, that's success, that I'm getting the weddings that I want, the brides that I really love to work with. I enjoy all the people that I work with, and that helps me to live the life that I want to live.
You've created the perfect lifestyle business.
For myself.
Yeah. And everybody's different, right?
Right.
And I think that one thing that really impresses me about you is you're so good with this balance. You're so good. How many weddings are you doing this year?
This year I have 25, and then Melissa has 10.
And is that a goal? Is that like, you set goals for yourself?
Yeah, that's our goal for the year.
And you've already hit it?
Yes.
So you're shooting 25 weddings, and you're still able to balance family life and what you love to do, and you're really, really good at that. How do you do that? You're not like, how often do you work? Are you working like crazy? Like, what's your schedule like?
So I have a 2-year-old, for any of you that don't know that. So she keeps me really busy.
Yes.
And my husband works kind of that typical 9-to-5 job. So I'm at home with her. She's in daycare 2 full days a week. So she goes to daycare on Mondays and Wednesdays, and those are my work days. The other days of the week, I use lunchtime to answer emails, but I don't really work the other days of the week. And then Saturdays, I shoot weddings.
So wait, full-time business, 25 weddings plus 10 for Melissa, full-time business, 2 days a week, killing it.
Yeah, which is... it took a lot of preparation to get to that point.
How did you get... To walk me through the process from like early on when you were figuring out your ideal schedule or what that looks like. How do you get to that point? For someone who's starting, how do they get to that?
It was a lot of work. Like, it doesn't just happen necessarily. So whenever I was still working my day job, I would shoot weddings. I would go to work all week. I would shoot weddings on the weekends. I would edit in the evenings. I never felt like I saw my husband ever. And then I quit my job because I just started to really resent my day job. I quit my job. I was still working a ton. And then I decided to start seeing how I can become more efficient. So from a long time ago, I started using studio management software. So I started paying for ShootQ back in the day whenever I only had one wedding book. So I was still paying a $40 a month at the time fee
It's a big investment.
with only one wedding, but that helped me to then go forward and set up the rest of my business. And then I started outsourcing my color correction, which is a huge time saver for me. And those two things have really helped me because I have tons of automatic emails going to my clients. I have like workflows set up. I know what I need to do every day. I have my color correction. So those things, but it was trial and error, figuring it out.
Yeah, but you love systems and you love organization and you love planning and structure. Because I think that's just who you are, you know, an engineer by trade. That's just how we think. But how could you and I help the creative person who is like, oh my gosh, when you start talking about studio software and systems and workflow, like their head wants to explode. Like we have friends like this that just can't wrap their, how can we help them establish a system or a process? Where could they start?
I think that, well, just real quick, Sarah asked if I outsource my editing, and I do. I send my color correction to Shoot.Edit for them to do the majority of my editing, and then I put the final touches on it. So hopefully that helps. Yeah. I think that for a very creative mind to think about getting structure in place, what I always suggest is handwriting things down. So sit down with a pencil and paper and write out from the very beginning of somebody contacting me, what do I need to do? I need to respond to them. Yeah. That's step number one. Step number two is I need to give them a phone call. I need to call them. Step number three, I need to send them a contract. And once you write out those steps, then you can look at them individually and say, okay, if the first step is just calling them or sending an email, maybe I should have an email template. Well, that would make my life easier. Right. So then you can have an email template that you send to them and you know, okay, well, that's going to make that little step easier. Yes. And then you just make all of those little steps easier, and then the big step becomes a whole lot easier too. Yeah. So
you have to look at the overall picture and then dive into each area and look at that detail. And I always ask myself, am I repeating myself? If I am repeating myself over and over with either an email or a step, my first question, I mean, just before we started, I said, how can I automate this? I need to automate this so that I don't have to, so it's less hands-on and I can spend more time doing it. Okay, one mistake that you see new photographers making, a mistake that you think, I mean, whether that's business or in their shooting, or that you think, oh, they could do so much better if they did this instead of that.
I think, and I think that you had talked about this too in your marketing piece, that getting out there and meeting people is something that I see so many photographers are afraid to do. And that helped me grow my business exponentially. Yes. Meeting people. So getting out there, making your face known, no matter how small you might think you are. Every time I go to a meeting, if a new wedding photographer is there, I'm like, this is so awesome. Yeah. You're here. Like, we want you to be here. I want to meet you. I want to get to know you. And the more you show up, the more people are like, that guy again, that girl again. Again. Yeah. And then people start to know you. And then, like for me, I'm shooting 25 weddings. Melissa has 10, but I'm getting tons of leads. Yes. Like I have tons of leads coming in. I need to be able to give them, but I'm particular too. I don't just
pass them out.
Yeah. So randomly. I like to make sure that I know who I'm sending this to. I could get a lead and say, oh, you know, that would be a really great lead for Mandy. Right. And then I can specifically send it to her, and now she gets business.
But in order to do that, you have to know Mandy.
But I need to meet people. Yeah. If I don't know you, I'm not just saying it's me, but like if the photography community in general doesn't know you, or if people that are out and about don't know you, then they'll never know to refer you.
Marketing equals awareness. They have to be aware. So that leads to, I've noticed you're very prolific. I mean, you're everywhere. Like I see you everywhere. I open a magazine, a Pittsburgh magazine, you're there. I see your face here. I see you're Instagramming photos from this event and that event. Like how do you do that? What is the strategy and what's going on?
A lot of it comes from getting out and doing things. I'm very selective on what I attend and what I don't attend. because I have a 2-year-old at home.
Yeah, you're
like,
busy.
I just have to be picky about it. I volunteer my time in places where it is helpful to me and to them. I make sure that I have on my to-do list every year or every quarter to submit to specific places. It's a strategy that I have, but it always feels natural. To me too. It's always like what I want to be doing in the first place.
Right.
So submitting and blogging and Instagramming and volunteering time and going to meetings, and I'm a part of ILEA, Pittsburgh International Live Events Association. So doing those things has always felt natural to me, but it's just helped to get my name out there too.
Yeah. You're just everywhere and everybody knows who you are, which is brilliant. Because then when they think wedding photography, they think Leeann, which is exactly what you want them to think.
Yeah.
It's so smart. So you're looking for mutually beneficial relationships. And are some of these like volunteer? Are any of them paid? How do you find them? How do you meet people? You know, some people are sitting at home and they're like, I just don't even know where to start with that. And what would you say to a person who's like, well, I'm an introvert and I'm shy?
That's a great question. So the places that I go, I do volunteer my time. I volunteer for Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. Now that's not necessarily a marketing. I don't look at it from a marketing perspective. But and I also volunteer my time to be on the board for ILEA Pittsburgh, which was, I joined that because, and it's formerly International Special Events Society, Pittsburgh, but I joined and paid the membership fee and started attending specifically to meet wedding planners and florists and event coordinators in the city. From there, I do volunteer to work for them. I shoot every event. So I show up to all of the events. I photograph all of them. I edit them the day of or the next morning. I put my logo on them and I put them up for being shared. So that is donating my time.
And it's brilliant because every single person involved with that event knows who you are, and then they are endeared to you. They love you because you're doing all of that over and over and over, and it just starts this like ripple effect in that particular community. So they may not be getting married. You may not even have your target market there, but they know people who are getting married, or they have friends, and they instantly, the first thing they think when they think photography, they think Leeann. Even if they're not getting married, they might think, well, does Leeann do babies or families? And you might not, but you can refer somebody else. Which means you can help the photographic community. Brilliant.
Yeah. And Jennifer asked, what advice do I have for nerves? So I can't tell you how many events I have gone to where I don't have anybody to talk to. And it's always really weird, and I'm always not sure exactly what to do. And I find one person, and I ask them what they're up to that weekend. And that just gets conversation going. It's not, what do you do? What is your job? Blah, blah, blah. It just starts personal conversation. So that's a tip that I learned a long time ago, to just ask people what they're up to that weekend. Or what did you do this past weekend? Did you spend time with your family? Oh, you have a family? Oh,
tell me about them. Yeah, tell me more.
So that always helps me. I can tell you that there's lots of events. I just photographed events for the Pittsburgh Film Office. And I don't know anything about the Pittsburgh Film Office until I started working with them.
But you were like in a gown at their red carpet.
And I was like, all the magazines are World Magazine's gonna have their photographer, the Trib's gonna have their photographer. Like the Trib is sending their photographer who's like been doing this for ages. And then I'm like, hi, I'm here. Super nervous. But I just totally wing it.
You just do it.
And then it works. And people, like, you just go with it. And
so you're not afraid to walk up to a complete stranger and say like, hi, I'm Leeann. Yeah, me either. But a lot of people struggle with that. They're nervous because they're worried about what people think, but you just kind of have to hey, here's the number one rule. Don't be weird. Just be normal. And like, hey,
that's why I say the weekend question always helps. That's just a really good starting point.
I had mentioned this book previously, but it's called How to Talk to Anyone. I think it's 92 Strategies. I'll post it. I can't remember the author exactly, but she has openers like that. And they're do not ask yes, no questions, obviously open-ended questions. And one of the questions was, hey, what personal projects do you have going on? Or do you do anything around your house, or do you volunteer, or what are you about? Tell me your story. And then people want to talk about themselves. So. And it's pretty easy.
I mean, I've gone to lots of networking events too, and I'll tell you, the most forgetful person, the person that I easily forget about, is the person that comes up, asks me what I do. I'm a photographer. I've told a million people that. And then they give me their business card. So if there's one thing that is not marketing or networking, it's asking people what they do and then giving them your business card.
So don't be forgettable. You want to be unforgettable.
So
but
whenever people ask me about my kid, I'm like, I'm going to tell you about my kid.
Of talk about my kid all day.
Yeah. So personal questions really help.
Yeah.
And then
really.
you start building networks and relationships.
So that's all business, networking, marketing. What about shooting? When you're shooting your first wedding, and weddings aren't for everyone. I have found that really people either love them or hate them, but you don't know until you try. So I encourage people to try. How do you deal with like the pressure of the most important day of someone's life? Does that stress ever get to you, or do you get nervous, or?
Anymore, I don't get too nervous. I've done them for a long time. Right. In the past, I can't say, I never try to think of it as like, oh my gosh, this is the most important day of anybody's life. I try to think of it in pieces. Okay, we're doing the prep. This is what I want to shoot. Okay, we're doing the ceremony. I need to get this, this, and this. Everything else is bonus.
Right.
Reception. I need to get this, this, and this. Everything else is bonus. So I tackle it in pieces initially. And I always think that the experience that you provide people has an impact on what they think of the photos. So if I'm giving an amazing experience, people have come up to me and been like, you have done such a good job. And I'm like, you haven't seen a picture.
Yeah, I could be photographing the ground.
I could totally stink right now, but you think I'm awesome.
Yeah.
And that's only because of experience.
Yeah.
So initially I always try to deliver an awesome experience. Absolutely. And then it has an impact on what people think of you. So and the same thing could be said whether you're a wedding photographer or doing family photos or
experience
photos or whatever.
David Burke used to say to me, we photographed a bunch of weddings early on in my career and his, and we would be driving home and I'd be like kind of nervous, like I hope she likes her photos. And he would look at me and he'd be like, what's the matter with you? They loved you. And if they love you, they love their photos. And if they love you, they'll show a lot of grace if you happen to make a slight error, right? Because they love you. It is all about the experience. It's so important. Okay, what are your thoughts on market saturation? When people say to me, okay, let me back up for a second. I have photographers that come to me that are very talented, and some will be like you, and their schedule will be completely full, and in fact, more business than they want, and they're turning away business, and others are struggling to get business. So it seems to be either one or the other. Either you're swamped, or you just don't have what you need. And sometimes I'll hear things like, well, it's the economy. There's a downturn in the economy, or the market saturation. Have you ever missed your numbers? And if so, what did you do to make up for it?
So whenever I quit my job, I set a goal every month of what I wanted to make as my paycheck. So I've always paid myself a paycheck every month, which I think is important.
Yes.
Too, to have that sort of goal in mind, or a number of weddings and that kind of thing.
Some goal.
The thing that I have found with booking weddings is that it's so variable on when people book that sometimes it's easy to get stressed whenever you don't really need to be, because it ends up working out in the end. But
saturation.
Yes, market saturation. Yeah. Okay. So I always think that it's important to set yourself apart and that you need to find your quote unquote tribe of people. So you have to be memorable. You have to be personable. You have to put out there what you're all about. If you're an introvert, talk about it.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
Maybe you blog about it.
Right,
Maybe that's like your outlet. Maybe that's how you get people to know you. If you're an extrovert, go out and meet people. I think that there are tons of photographers in the market. I always try to remember that there's people that are going to be in business for 20 years. There are people that are going to be in business for 2 years. Everybody has a place. Everybody has clients. But if you focus on that too much, or if you focus on what the economy is too much, then it takes away all the opportunity. It takes away your opportunity for attention that you can devote to other things.
Right.
So really trying to pinpoint who you are and what you're all about. I've seen so many photographers where I know them in person and like I love them. I love their personality. I love what they're about. They have something unique. And then I go to their online presence and I'm like,
it doesn't match.
That's not you at all.
Yeah,
what are you doing? Like, you are so cool for
Right.
this reason, but you're not putting it out there into the world. And like, I love you for that reason. Other people are going to love you for that reason, but you're not showing it to them.
Yeah.
So
Why do you think they don't put it out there? They're afraid.
people are scared.
Yeah. Of what will people think?
Yeah.
It makes you vulnerable.
Yeah.
But you can't. I love when I started blogging in 2005. By the way, when blogs were not even a thing, I started because I'm an early adopter. I thought it was great. I would go to a wedding and people would say to me, "I feel like I know you," and I loved that because that's the point.
Whenever people meet my husband, they're like, "I feel like I know you," and he's like,
"No, you don't." Because my
That's
wife.
weird. Yeah, it's because I do that. But it is important.
Yeah, you have to put yourself out there and be okay with that's me, I'm scared, Candace says. Yeah, but don't be scared. First of all, Candace, you're so pretty. You're so pretty and you're so sweet. Just be who you are. People will love you for who you are. And one of two things happens. When you put yourself out there, you give people a reason to connect with you. And they'll look for a reason to connect with you. Give the people a reason to connect. Or you'll have someone that doesn't connect.
That's not for me.
Correct. And they'll go another direction. And it's fine.
Which is perfect because if they're not for you in the first place, you would have taken that job and photographed their wedding or their family and been like...
It would have been a bad fit. Yeah.
Stinks. So yeah, I always think that if you can pinpoint like those things that are important to like who you are as a person, don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Put it out there. There are some people that I know who go with a business that like they look super weird. And I'm like, but this is awesome because you totally are super weird and I love your weirdness and I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Or, you just have to go with who you are as a person. And I think the more you put that out there, the more people will love it.
And because it's very genuine and people will connect with that genuineness even if they don't like it. Like, I love my chickens. And I videotape them and I talk about them all the time. Yeah. And that's going to endear some people to me who are going to be like, Heather's crazy with these chickens. Or they're going to be like, I'm sick of Heather and her chickens. And they'll go elsewhere. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I will never stop loving my chickens.
Yeah. But that's great too, because then you become a specialist instead of a generalist.
Yeah, for sure. And people will connect with that. If you guys have any questions, please start typing them for Leeann because I only have a few more for her. So what's next for you? Where are you headed with your business? Anything new going on? Or what are your plans?
Right now my goal is to finish my kitchen remodel because I've been working on it for a really long time. I'm painting cabinetry and it just takes forever.
Yeah.
So I want to finish my kitchen. I want to get that all done and ready and planning a couple of vacations throughout the course of this year. For my business, I want to continue working on everything that I'm working on right now. I'm really happy with where everything is. I just continue to try to, work on my systems, improve them. I feel like there's always ways that they can be improved. Even just yesterday, I created an email template for something else that I realized that I was writing all the time.
Yeah.
So that constant improvement, and then coming up with new ways to market myself, new groups that I could be a part of, things like that. Meeting new photographers is always important to me, and volunteering.
You've really set yourself apart. You've honed in on this family. You connect with families. And you're really about all of your marketing. You've been really good about these moments matters at your hashtag. Yeah. How did you get to that point where you figured out this is what's important to me about weddings? And I'm going to use it. And I'm going to use it. I'm going to capitalize on it.
Yeah. So it came from a lot of trial and error. And eventually I would do something and I would think it would be good, but then it just wouldn't in my stomach feel perfect. It wouldn't feel like what I'm all about. There have been many times where I've looked at other photographers' businesses and thought, I should have a more classic and elegant website. I should talk more about this. I should post more brides and grooms doing this. And every time I've done it, I've said, this isn't right. This is not what I love. And then it just came down to that trial and error and figuring out what am I really drawn to? What do I really like? What's the most important thing to me versus what's the prettiest thing? And that's how I started to just hone in on that. And once I figured that out, I was like, well, all of my clients that I love, this is important to them too. We need to talk about why this is so important. Why it's not just about a bride and groom on a wedding day, why it's about a mom and a dad and a grandma and a grandpa and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and cousins. And to talk about that is what I think is the most important. And then my brides who will come to me will be like, we love that you talked. I had a girl ask me about it on the phone the other day because she wanted to know more about why I think that's important. And I told her and she was like, oh my gosh, that just made me almost cry. But that's because that's what we connect on. So it's important.
Right.
So.
That's very good. Hi, Dana. She's asking, when you first started, how did you get up to speed on all the business items that need to be in order for a business to succeed, like taxes, contract? First of all, who wants to talk about taxes?
I know.
Taxes are
especially because it's May. No?
Yeah, right. Get an accountant. Accountants are much less expensive than one might think.
Yeah.
And they're worth their weight in gold.
Yes.
I didn't know how to do it. Actually, my degree is business. I have an engineering and business degree. But when I started my business, I looked online for a QuickBooks certified pro accountant in my area. I called her and said, can you come to my house and set up my QuickBooks for me and then teach me how to use it? And she's like, yeah, sure. And I can't remember. I think she was like $60 an hour. It took her a couple hours. Boom, done. And then she told me how to input everything. So you have to know what areas you can tackle yourself and what areas you need to bring in an expert on, right? But then there's the other business things.
No one wants to talk about shyness.
No one.
Yeah.
No one.
When it comes to contracts, I'll honestly tell you that whenever I first started, I just found a contract online. There was like a wedding photographer contract. Because here's the thing. Something is better than nothing.
Right.
For sure. And then since then, I've had it reviewed and updated.
Yeah.
And I, whenever something comes up, I end up adding it into my contract to cover myself. But I think that the first thing that I really focused on was a website.
Yeah.
And getting that up and running. And then once I had income coming in, then I started, paying attention to the contracts. Like I said, I started using studio management software right away. Some other studio management software, by the way, that you guys can look into. I use Tave at this point. I think Heather has used Tave in the past.
I have.
And then a lot of people I know use 17 Hats, which I think is just
a lot of my clients use that.
Less expensive too. So
and they love it.
Those are some good options to look into.
Yeah. You know what? You said something really important though. You got the website up first. You need to divide this into small goals. So like goal number 1, if you're going to be a photographer, goal number 1, get a website. You have to have something to show people. You have to be able to say, here's my website so you can see my work, so you can contact me, you can connect with me. You have to give people a reason to go there. So you have, even if it's only a few photos. My first website was 1 page with my name and phone number and a few really bad photos on it. And that was it. But I had to have something out there. That's number 1. Then you start getting clients, but set little goals for yourself. Like, I'm going to have a website up and running by the end of the month. Really, with the templates that are out there now, no joke. You could have a website up and running in less than 2 hours with no knowledge. Like, you just follow the instructions.
Yeah, like Wix is a good starting place.
Something. Yeah. And they're not expensive. And in fact, you can even find free ones. They're not going to be as nice. But you find a template and just get something out there. I think the key here is progress over perfection. Don't wait till you have everything in order to get that website up. Just get something out there and then refine, progress.
Yeah, I mean, you can go, what is it, the Wayback Machine?
I've done it.
You could probably do the Wayback Machine on our websites and see what they look like.
I
back in the day,
once.
my website was bad.
Yeah.
But it was something. And
you did something.
Business.
And you know what? And I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us collectively, people who do that. People who just progress over perfection, make it happen, and then refine it. No, yeah, it's embarrassing and it wasn't good, but at least it was something.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Erin, when you did work full-time and have your business, did you find any successful strategies for work-life balance before becoming a full-time photographer? Now, what's interesting about this question, Erin, is a lot of people that I mentor, and Leann can speak to this, is that when they're working a full-time job and they're sort of ramping up their photography business, I always say this, it's going to get harder before it gets easier.
Yes.
Because you're still working a full-time job, you're ramping up your business, which means you're working 2 full-time jobs until you can leave that one. What were your strategies for tackling that?
It was hard. It was really hard. And I can totally feel the pain when it comes to managing it because, like I said, I did work lots of nights in my office and I can only imagine the added level of stress if you have children at home too, to do that. I think that it all comes down to how bad do you want something and how much are you going to push yourself to get to it, because there's going to be moments where it really sucks. And, let's say that you do have a husband and children at home. If it's something that you really want, there's pain before there's the good stuff. So it's almost like you have to put in that time beforehand. Going back, I had the studio management software, was great. I was a terrible editor. So once I started outsourcing that editing, it was a huge help. I came to some of your workshops to begin with. I still use your retouching action.
Oh, thanks. That's awesome. It has stood the test of time.
It has stood the test of time. And beautiful skin. We always have beautiful skin. So I worked a lot in the evenings whenever I got home. I would say to my husband, this night whenever I come home, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah, no work
whatsoever.
Right.
So you have to give and take a little bit and set realistic deadlines too for your clients, because I feel like once you set a realistic expectation for them, no one's going to be disappointed. If you're really busy right now because you're working 2 jobs and you're shooting and the turnaround time is going to be a little while to get your galleries back because maybe your workflow isn't quite there.
Yeah.
say I'm going to deliver 5 preview images and then the rest of the gallery comes at 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes you, because then people know this is what we get.
Right.
Rather than trying to over deliver and stress yourself out.
Yeah.
Because the added stress isn't going to help.
And when I started mine, I was working full time and Ella was a newborn.
Yeah.
I had a full-time job and a newborn and decided I should start a business. What idiot does that? And it was really hard. And you know what? It took a lot of sacrifice and there was a lot of pain in my marriage and cat video.
The kitty is sitting right there.
And Trooper's been running by. That is so funny. That's pretty girl. But it was a lot of sacrifice and it was hard on my marriage. It was hard on me. It was hard on everybody, but I knew it would be worth it. You know, there's pain now for a better future.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way that it is.
Right, exactly.
Do you guys have any last minute questions before we jump off of here? Leeann, where can people connect with you?
I am on Facebook and Instagram primarily. So my Instagram handle is at Leeann, Leeann, Marie G. And then my Facebook page is Leeann Marie Photographers.
Yep, and I have it linked here so they can go to it and like her work and follow her.
Hi, Amy.
And hi, Amy. So much sacrifice. Yeah,
It is.
It is. But I would rather work 80 hours a week for myself than 40 for someone else.
Yeah, or like 10.
Yeah, or like 10. That's the goal, right? And that's a good point. I knew it wouldn't last. Yeah. I knew that this was like temporary pain for permanent gain. That's what I knew. So if I could just get through this like initial hard part of starting up my business, then I could get to the point where I could refine it and make it a lifestyle business, which is how I would want to live anyway. So Candace, go out there and make something happen. How about get that new website up and running? Candace and I have been talking. She has a new design and a new website, and it's beautiful, and she just needs to release it. And don't be afraid. Oh, hi, Mara. Yeah, so worth it. And listen, Mara knows what she's talking about because she left, I don't know how to say this, but a very, very, very high-paying job, which she worked from home, by the way. She worked a very high-paying job from home, and she left it last year to pursue her love for photography, and she's killing it. And it's so worth it because all of that money doesn't define success. And they were sucking her soul. So she left and that was it. Yeah.
And honestly, the day I quit my job, I called my husband from my desk and I said, I'm going to quit my job today. And he goes, no, you're not. Because I was only scheduled to make like $200, $300 in the month of December.
Yeah.
And that's not
nowhere close enough
to what my
corporate
paycheck would have been. And he was like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, I am. You're at your office. I'm at my office. I'm going to quit my job. And there's nothing you can do about it. And I met my numbers anyway, so it was fine. But yeah, it is, it's tough to lose that comfort.
Thank goodness these husbands are so supportive.
I know.
Right? Oh, Matt says he's letting the stress of his job push him to do what he loves. And the truth is, sometimes you have to be pushed really far in order to be so uncomfortable that you'll do something.
Oh, I missed the question. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks, Celeste. Thank you. It was a big leap. Susie took the leap. She quit her full-time job, and then her business exploded. We'll kind of wrap up, but one final thing is that what I didn't realize was when I quit my job that I would have time to put into my business, that it would grow because of that. I didn't factor that into the equation for some reason.
Yeah.
So when I quit my job, I thought, okay, my business is at this level, and that's okay. That's where it's going to be. But then it exploded because I actually had time to get back to people.
Yeah. And I want to put it out there too that we're not just telling everyone just quit your jobs.
Yeah, don't
because you can't just quit your job and be like, I quit. Now stuff's going to happen. You have to work really hard.
Have a plan
after that and have a plan in place. But it does free up a lot of time. I mean, whenever you have how many hours a week to focus on things, you can be awesome.
Be responsible when you quit your job.
We're just gonna. People are like throwing in their towels.
Actually, I've had clients do that. One in particular, I don't know if she's on here, is Ann Wilmus. So I started mentoring her after I photographed her wedding, and then there's our girls back there. And then I'm mentoring her, and then she's like, I'm quitting my job, and I'm like, no, don't quit your job. But she did, and the rest is history. So she's perfect. There's Joy. She's here. Joy, say hi to everyone.
Hi.
You're so cute. Okay, you guys have a great day. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much.